Welcome to Britain's favourite Sunday sermon. Well, this week we've had new data out of the government, the Office for National Statistics, which I think mean that we've got to have a proper, grown-up national debate about what we want in terms of the size, the shape, and the very culture of the United Kingdom. Because the ONS have just released their latest projections, forecasts for what's going to happen to the population of the UK over the next 12 or 13 years or so. Now, currently, we've got just under 70 million people living in the UK, about 68 million or so. And they're projecting over the next 12 years, it'll increase by almost 7 million people. But there's a different number that I think we need to focus on. And that is that almost 14 million people will arrive in the United Kingdom from elsewhere. Now, currently in the UK, about 1 in 7, about 15% of our population were born overseas. But with these new projections over the next 12 years, that's likely to give or take double to about almost 1 in 3 of the population in 12 years' time will have been born overseas. And that is clearly going to have serious changes in the nature of who we are, people's views, people's understanding about the British culture, and so on. And I think we've got to talk about it. Because one of the reasons so many people want to come and live in the UK is because of who we are. Our British values, our culture, our Christian ethos, our sense of fair play, of decency, of compassion, of respect, of transparency, of law and order. But is that really going to stay the same if we go ahead with these population changes? We absolutely should talk about it. Some people might say that's a very good thing. The more the merrier. But I suspect the majority, very often the silent majority, who almost daren't say, will probably say, well, actually, I quite like things the way they have been to date. I think a lot of people will say, actually, I'm not sure that we do want a city the size of Birmingham arriving every single year, as we've had in 2022. I think the numbers are about the same in 2023 and probably the same in 2024. What these ONS projections show is that well over 1 million people will come from overseas to live in the UK every year, basically from here on. And remember, the ONS projections are almost always too low. They've dramatically increased their projections within the last 12 months. This has significant, serious implications for us all. Some people who don't like the British way of life, the British culture, indeed, some people who've been born in Britain have that view. They despise what we stand for. They might think this is marvellous, this is excellent news. I think we've got to talk about it. Because I repeat, I think the vast, vast majority of people living in the UK don't want this to happen. And no one's asked us. Fine, if you have a national debate, you might have a referendum on it. And we all agree that's a great thing, let's push on. But that's the point about a democracy, is you talk about things, you discuss it, and then you have a democratic vote on it. This is potentially being imposed on us, this mass immigration, this massive change in the nature, the size, the shape, and the culture of the United Kingdom is being forced upon us, is being imposed upon us by the mandarins in Whitehall and the politicians in Westminster without asking us, without talking about it. Frankly, I think they are completely out of touch. And the implications are serious. We are seeing on our streets, and we've all had a massive wake-up call with these pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas supporting marches of anti-Semitism that we've seen on our streets almost every week, up and down the country. some vile banners, some frankly genocidal chants being sung. And it's not just marching down the street. No, they're now shutting down shops, shutting down shopping centres, blocking offices from companies who they think might be supporting one nation over another. That is not who the United Kingdom. That is not the British way. And if that's what we've got at the moment, what we are seeing is the beginning of sectarian divides, sectarian politics in this country. And sectarianism, frankly, is not the way to go, because it means conflict between different people, different views, different religions, different ethnicities. That is not where we want to go. And if we are at base camp of sectarianism, what will that look like if we more than double the percentage of people living in the United Kingdom from overseas? I say again, we're just asking the question. We should have a debate about this. I think the majority of people wouldn't vote for this. I don't think it's what they want. I think they treasure and value and enjoy the incredible privilege of being part of the United Kingdom and our British culture. We are so lucky, but we are potentially going to change and give that all away, and we should absolutely talk about it. There are other things we should also talk about. We're seeing, tragically, some horrific crimes being conducted and committed just in the last week. And again, I think we need to ask serious questions about what are the percentages, who's committing these crimes? For example, asylum seekers, on average, I think we should know whether or not they commit less crimes than the national average or more crimes than the national average. I don't know, but I think we should know. I think we deserve to know. I think it's perfectly reasonable to ask that question. These are all the sort of things that in a democracy we should have the right to know. We should be entitled to that information. But I tell you what's going on. I think that the authorities are deliberately trying to hide that information. That generally means they're trying to cover something up, which probably means that gives you an idea as to the answer. These are serious questions. These are serious times for our country, and I think we should talk about it. What is the shape and size and culture of the United Kingdom that you want in 5, 10 and 15 years' time and beyond? Do you want the country to get bigger at all? Or actually do you think it's quite busy at the moment, public services are struggling, maybe we should try and freeze immigration, except for some essential skills that are required that we haven't yet trained our own people. But fundamentally, maybe we should try and freeze our immigration until we allow the whole system to catch up, until we allow wages to grow properly, to get some economic growth, to invest in capital equipment, and so that we actually start feeling better off, better serviced by our public sector, our public services, and then we can say, yes, we want some more folk or not. I think that's another part of an important national debate, rather than just blundering on with mass immigration that no one's voted for, that no one almost dares talk about, except people like me. I think it's really important. What do you think? Let's have this debate. And with that, here endeth my Sunday sermon.